as you can see behind me, we have an Evo 4. Now, there is something special about this Evo 4, which we're gonna get to in this video. It's gone through a bit of a transformation, so we're not gonna do as much driving as we normally do in this video, but I really wanna show you guys the process behind this build here. So as you guys know, of course, there's a whole slew of companies around the world making aero bits for especially Japanese cars. What we love are our iconic cars from the 90s that we love to transform. Of course, there's RWB, there's Nakai-san, there's Kato-san, Liberty Walk, we got Rocket Bunny. But here in Canada, maybe you can see in the background some snow, I'm not sure, but here in Canada, the requirements for an Aero Kit are a little bit different, shall we say. You know, some people want to take something like an Evo 4 that is a little bit different in my mind from, let's say, an Evo 10, which kind of has a little bit more of kind of a street air about it. Whereas to me, the 4, 5s, and 6s, I don't know about you guys, they're my favorite Evos to drive and to look at. But you can do both. Like, you can build something that is very, that can go off-road, that can go in the snow, in the dirt, but that can also be used on the street. And if you want to, let's say on the tarmac, like on a track. So without further ado, let's jump into it. We're gonna go talk to the guys over at Infamous Aero. We're gonna talk to Kevin, the owner of this car. If you guys remember, we shot his R34, was it last year? Yes, it was last year. And yeah, it's gonna be a bit of a journey. So let's get into it, and then we'll come back here once we're done talking to those guys, and we'll see the finished product. And you can let me know what you guys think. Let's go. Of course, for the OGs, this scene right here should spark a fond memory from the early days of Infamous. That's Jesse's Supra I drove a few years back. His Focus hit a pivot point, and this time he flew out here with Jason to join us here in BC. You walk into Galmet Racing here in Chilliwack, you'd think, okay, let's just get to work, right? Just ship a bunch of parts out and do a quick install over the weekend. That's partially true, but not without hours and hours of dedicated design and details done back home in Calgary. There's not exactly a rule book here, and neither is there an Evo 4 on every street corner waiting to be sized up.
So my name is Jesse. I'm the founder and owner of Infamous Aero.
I'm Jason Wang. I also am a part owner and head of the composites divisions here at Infamous Aero.
Yeah, I guess our shop is located in Calgary, but we had a unique opportunity to fly out to Abbotsford to do an off-site install for Kevin Torres here. So yeah. I guess that's the reason we're in this shop today.
Yeah, no, it was actually a pretty funny story of how we got in contact with Kevin. He posted in one of the Canadian Evo 456 groups looking for a front lip because his was damaged, like the OEM front lip. And I just messaged him like, hey, you know, we're Infamous Aero, we're here in Calgary, and we're actually producing a replica, like a fiberglass replica of the original lip, which no one really does. We just started talking cars like most car guys do, and he was like, oh yeah, I'm building this Evo 4, it's got tons of power, repainting it, blah, 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 blah. It's like, do you guys make, you know, anything else for the Evo 4? And we're like, no, but it's in our nature, like our business is to make custom parts. So we just started chatting, and it eventually snowballed to this crazy chassis mount, full kit, like honestly the most extensive Aero kit we've ever done
definitely
on a single vehicle.
Jason, like, is a long-time Evo owner himself and enthusiast, so it was a pretty easy, like, okay, yes, like this is going to be a really cool project. Let's try to see how you know, detailed and in-depth we can take this. And I think once you see the end result, you'll definitely know what we're talking about.
Yeah, so first step was, since we are remote, we had to locate an Evo 4 like dummy test car in Calgary, and luckily my friend Mackenzie graciously lent us his car for like a month.
Yeah, it was at least a month.
But yeah, so once you locate the test car, we rip the front bumper off just like this and 3D scan the whole front end with like everything and underneath it. Like, it's Mitsubishi, like the packaging on these stock cars are crazy. There's like not much room to work with. So we try to utilize OEM, like all of our brackets utilize OEM holes. Most of the holes are tapped already. You can see it hooks around the intercooler piping bracket. So after you design everything in CAD and you assume it fits the bumper, then we just 3D printed out some prototypes, mounted those to the test car in Calgary, put the bumper on and off like a million times and modified the brackets. I think we had like four or five revisions of the front brackets just to clear everything.
Uber wheat.
Yeah, it took a minute to figure out what to do with this bracket, and then also like to have this bracket line up so that it doesn't interfere with the bumper, because the bumper again just sits so tight among here that there's not a lot of room for large brackets or anything.
All the brackets here are slotted. The slots on this one are behind, so you can't see them, but it's just so you can set the height perfectly. Like, being a JDM car, there's tons of aftermarket options for different front bumpers and different front lips and stuff, so we decided to just make it nice and adjustable so it can accommodate for any other aftermarket parts, or like Kevin's giant oil pan down here, and also for Evos 5 and 6.
For this particular car, we used all countersunk hardware, so the bottom is perfectly flat. There's not going to be any exposed bolts or bolt heads that interrupt airflow patterns. Just keeps everything nice and smooth on the underside of the car. Yeah, we can do the peel now as well, actually. You gotta get that before you leave. That's gotta be the coolest part.
You want this up a little bit?
Yeah, let's go. So yeah, in addition to the chassis mounted front splitter, we also did a chassis mount rear diffuser. This is the full-size diffuser that extends pretty much as far as we can go. Obviously the exhaust is going to be a little bit in the way, but it's kind of where we're limited to. A couple brackets. These ones use OEM hole locations again, which is pretty nice. For something like this, you pretty much just want to like channel the air out the rear of the car as quickly as possible. So anything that's going to have like strakes to smooth it out, guide everything nicely out the back is the aim. Very smooth and streamlined out the back of the car. So it kind of bypasses a lot of the time like air will get trapped in the bumper and things like that. So you're just trying to like block all these channels and make sure that it can escape out the rear of the car as easily as possible. Follows the OEM bumper really nicely. Like it looks like it's meant to be there. You know, all these sections line up with the exhaust.
Kevin just kind of gave us a rough outline. He's like, I just want it aggressive. I want it like not too flashy, but like definitely stated.
Definitely like my favorite type of project is exactly this, pretty much like really detailed, in-depth, and like full creative control. So yeah, it's been a really fun project.
It's also really cool just flying out remotely. Like, it all comes with its own challenges, you know, like an unfamiliar shop with unfamiliar tools and making sure you pack everything and stuff arrived. Like the kit arrived like 30 minutes before we did, so that was kind of clutch. But yeah, it's kind of just a consultation thing. Like it's always more expensive when it's performance orientated. Like most of our splitters are about this wide and just clip onto the bumper. But as soon as you talk performance, which is what Kevin was saying, like he wants to race this car, you've got to start extending that stuff underneath the engine and underneath the floor and all that to actually like take advantage of aerodynamic effects. So you just start chatting like, hey, yeah, we can make stuff. Most of our stuff honestly is cosmetic. That's what most people want and that's what pays most of the bills. But like when you do want performance, it's kind of a switch in conversation, and then it just kind of falls into place.
I don't know, like it kind of just, like you said, it really depends on the use. So like once we kind of know what the person is intending to use the car for, it just kind of shifts our whole mindset of how we approach the project. So I wouldn't say you actively think about it throughout the process, but like once you set your heading on the process, then you kind of just follow the whole build with that same mindset.
showing me where the exhaust cutout was. Obviously that startup was full loud mode. We'll hit that again in a second, but 2.4 liter 4G63 stroker. The engine's very recently been built. Kevin basically traded that Skyline that we filmed and I drove for this Evo, and then it blew up, and then now we're here and it's a fully built motor and the sky is the limit. And of course it costs a little bit less to build an Evo or a 4G63 up to, let's say, 600 wheel than it does an STI. So that's a bonus, but we're just gonna go for a quick drive today. Nothing crazy. It's not quite tuned properly. We are running ethanol, about E60. That's what we get locally here. But they never get old, and there's a reason why these cars are not losing value. And in fact, because they're becoming US legal, the 3s, 4s, and 5s coming up here, they're appreciating in value. People are realizing that, hey, the STI, of course, was the one that America received. And of course, later on, the Evo 8s and 9s, but these cars are, you know, kind of the penultimate 90s Mitsubishi for me. I've driven an Eclipse GSX, great car, but it does not hold a candle to the Evo 4, 5, and 6. Kevin said it sounded like a diesel at times. He was not wrong. Huge amount of turbo spool coming through. God, I love that. Definitely still good torque down low, which is nice. Does not like idling. The car does not like to idle. Deep breath, Evo. It's okay, you've got a long life ahead of you. Got plenty of hearts to break in the future. Don't get excited, just breathe easy for now. This is the easy time, little buddy, okay? What is this clicking noise?
Hey, so my name's Kevin Torres. This is my Evo 4. Looks a bit different than your standard Evo 4, thankfully. But yeah, so this car started out as a trade. So I actually drove the Skyline from Abbotsford all the way to Kelowna. I saw the car and I drove the Evo back. And just seeing the comparison driving the Skyline there, like around the corners, the back end wanting to step out, and it was fun, don't get me wrong. And then driving the Evo back, where you just have your foot planted around a corner going like 200 something, I fell in love with it instantly. And that's when I decided that I wanted to build this thing.
Little bit of lift off oversteer there. I mean, to me, this screams time attack. This screams just something that's going to hit the Toge or a mountain pass, kind of like these foggy conditions we're in right now. But if he wanted to, of course, he needs to finish up a couple of the fender flares. But if he wanted to, he could make this into like kind of a show car kind of look, which is a cool thing. Show cars aren't usually my thing, but when it's an Evo and it still doesn't rub, it's got good ground clearance, he's got 17s, not 18s, or God forbid 19s, right? So it's the tire setup still looks meaty here.
It's a 4G64 block on a 4G63 head. Fully built, forged crank, rods, pistons, all new bearings, built head to titanium valve springs, HKS 280 cams, pretty much anything you can do. I invested in this because I wanted to do it right this time, not just do bolt-ons like I did with the Skyline. Wiseco pistons, Wiseco crank, all of this should be rated for around 1,200 horse, which is eventually the dream. If I make it that far without blowing it up again. Just had this rebuilt from blowing it up the first time Obviously gonna have to go to standalone pretty soon if I want to make more power, but after the rebuild I'm still sorting through some issues with the idle, and it's running a little bit lean but not super unsafe, so that's why she's out here today.
650 wheel horsepower seems like, I don't know much about the what people usually run when they're looking for bigger power as far as manifolds go, but how far do you think you could push the stock manifold with the frame turbo you have on there?
Well, the head is ported in this, and the exhaust is ported, so it's not just a stock manifold, it's widened up a little bit inside, and it's actually the biggest turbo that Art Gennari Turbos makes. I forget the exact millimeter of it, but I think it's a .62 AR. And it's a stock frame turbo, so it fits on the stock manifold. Yeah, it's currently pushing 35 pounds of boost. Such a great turbo. It spools up super quick. Painted this car myself. The way that it's painted, it's a tri-stage paint. It's Toyota Onyx black, so the 202 black, and then I mixed in 0.015 and 0.025 flakes in it with the red, and then another 2 coats of clear over top. I'm calling this color Oni Black. I wish it was sunny out right now, but when you see this thing in the light, it just sparkles when you get close to it. Another thing that I did too is I deleted these reflectors and I just painted over them, just so it gives like the newer Evo vibes with just like the triangle corners, and in my opinion I like it a lot better than it was before. Also smoked out the center of them just to match more of the theme.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the handcrafted for Kevin Torres 1/1 badge is one of my favorite like little details. Yeah, just seeing a company that would do little things like that for their customer is just amazing. And I couldn't be more grateful for the stuff they did.
Yeah, so this is what the company's like famous for doing, is what we started out doing, but we now offer fiberglass parts too, and with that full-on custom wide bodies and production wide bodies. We've only got 2 models right now, an R32 sedan and an A90 Supra, but if anyone's interested in any wide body projects or you've got a vision that you want to bring to life, contact us and we'd be happy to help. I will warn you though, it is not a cheap process to make a custom wide body, but it is something that we offer, so.
Anyways, thanks guys for watching. This has been Kevin's Evo 4. I'm sure we'll do something bigger on the road as far as driving goes. We'll hit Redline a bunch of times sometime in the summer when it's totally done. But for now, this is the current state of the car. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. We'll see you next time.